I'm only 3 minutes late. Haha. Where are we? Oh, yeah. Boom. Mm, mm. Yeah, I just stay on to that one first. You suck, you suck, you suck. Seriously, we need to get together. My brothers and sisters in Unison, please vote her out. Just, no, garbage. Well, there's no one here. I'll be back in a minute. Oh, no. Ooh! I hear sounds. I hear sounds. Things be happening. Oh, no, that was too up yet. I hear things. Come on. Ah, come back. I heard things. I heard things happen. Give me my stream activity. Stream activity? Rejoice, comrades. Jim speakers. Resubbed. It's here one for 4 months. Rejoice, your friendly neighborhood satanic bisexual leftist harlequin has resubscribed. Oh, I love it. I love it. Jim, I love you. You're amazing. Hi, Jim. Look. Look. Feckwittery in Union. Oh, Rejoice, comrades. Resident philosopher is here. Hi, Scrappy. How goes it? Look. Unite. Please vote out. I beg of you. Grabois. Scribble. If you see me struggling, try to decode what some of the shit is in this article. She's too close to the Labour Party, isn't she? If I remember correctly. How many people are there? 4. Hello, comrades. To any to any Unite members that might hear this, I beg of you, dinner, bring in someone more left wing. Okay, just get rid of her. Oh, I don't think my sister would get as a member. Not entirely sure. Could my sister possibly be a member of Unite? She's a nurse. Really want to. There's her. There we go. There be YouTube. There be Twitch. Well done, Squawk Walk. Exclusive. We currently have 5 just now. At one point in this living room before they decided to fix this. And the ones I'm about to tell you about, the one that's currently right here with the arms reaching me. About 5 feet. The ones are from IKEA. I like them. They're metal. And the actual shell bit is stone. They were £15. Bit of a bastard to get back from IKEA though. It's out in Hillington, which is about 6 miles away from here. I had to rope in my sister-in-law to drive us back with the boxes in her car. At one point in this flat, this very living room, we had 18 bookcases, most of them well above my height. Most of them, 6 of them were plywood, and black, and they were 10 feet tall, double deep. We we've got a lot of books, so they're back in fucking boxes. I can see the boxes. They're sitting there taunting me. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this game metal one that's sitting right here in front of me. We're going to get 7 or 8 of those. We won't get back up to the ones before because the black plywood ones that we had from Argos, are no longer the £28 that we paid for them fucking years ago. They're now 57. Can't afford to spend all that on plywood for fuck's sake. Right, Sharon Graham needs to get dealt with. Exclusive. Union Unite voted against TUC welfare, not warfare. God. Last month's annual gathering of unions under the banner of the TUC. My middle sister works for TUC. Sorry, darling. I'm giving you my full connection to this one because my sister works for the TUC or was gainfully employed by them. Last month's annual gathering of unions under the banner of the TUC, the Trade Union Congress, for anyone not knowing, was marked by the unanimous success of a motion condemning Kid-Starver's prescription on non-violent anti-genocide protest group PA. I'm not going to push it. I like my platform. But Squawk Box can reveal that it's called Unite the Union. Amongst the extreme criticism from members and activists, you know what to do then. General Secretary Sharon Graham voted against a welfare not warfare motion, calling for public spending to be directed towards social security for vulnerable people in the UK rather than towards Starmer's warmongering rather than spending in weapons. Fun, isn't it? If members of the union are liking this motion and want to maybe put some pressure on the Labour government, might be an idea, but if you're actually playing into what the government are doing, you're not doing your job as being a union fucking boss. This should get them to shut up about union bans with this one, or at least part of what they say. There is no union bans. Trust me, there's many times the unions have tried to fucking shift Labour fucking policy or make it a little bit better for their members. Half the time the Labour Party didn't fucking listen. Just saying. Unite's previous promises. Last year, Graham told Unite members that the union would always prioritise jobs in the arms industry above peace, and even above fighting Israel's genocide in Gaza. What the fuck, Sharon? Seriously? Don't get me wrong, I don't want anything bad to happen to the union members and their jobs and stuff, but those union members who are working within that industry are literally helping a genocide. The union was accused of using shameless manoeuvres to prevent anti-genocide motions coming before Unite's own conference and of attacking international solidarity in its own motion to the conference. Yeah. In addition, Graham has been alleged by Unite insiders to have 1. Banned Unite officials and union and national banners from pro-Gaza protests. Brilliant. 2. Banned and smeared films and books exposing the Labour anti-Semitism scam. What the fuck? 3. Placed an official under investigation who refused to cancel a Palestine Solidarity Fringe event at Labour's 2023 annual conference. Buck told her chief of staff to threaten a soon-to-retire official with the loss of a pension bonus if he did not soften his support for Palestinians. What the fuck? Seriously, what the fuck, Sham? How is what? Uh, this is scumfuckery of the highest order, especially that one. That soon-to-retire official could have taken her to a fucking tribunal for that one. Her supporters also prevented debate and votes on Gaza at meeting of the unions. Oh, elected executive. Okay. And last month, Unite members publicly accused Graham of a systematic attack on union democracy. Everything seems like that. To prevent debate over and solidarity with the people of Gaza. She has also stopped the union's affiliation with Stop the War out of the same commitment to the arms industry and because of the organisation's anti-genocide position and protests. But Unite members and their branches are pushing back. Round of applause for the Unite members and their branches across the country. Fucking brilliant. You know what to do, Unite. Graham has also been accused by workers and their union reps of using union busting tactics to try and break industrial action by union staff working in the department run she created and which is run by her husband. Delightful. Ah, this one's hurting my brain. Despite him being on a final warning for bullying and threatening behaviour. Nice. Who alleged that he and managers working under him have bullied and abused staff. Excuse me. At least 3 of the 5 women working in the department have quit. Oh, he's that kind of bastard. Brilliant. And the tactics used by Graham and her team include having allies join the GMB that represents staff working for Unite to try and vote down the strike action, an allegation that the Union Sector Committee has demanded be investigated. Fuck. Ugh. She has also been accused of using anti-union legislation to stop union officers organising collectively, and in a stunning development exclusively revealed by Squawk Box, lawyers acting for Unite and Graham also confirmed Squawk Box's reporting that the union had destroyed evidence gathered by staff, particularly women, who had recorded the behaviour her husband, Jack Clark, in the complaint that he was behaving abusively. John Graham, you suck. Yeah, fucking hurts. Oh, oh, thanks, Morton. Rejoice, comrades. It's the Morton is here. The way yous were trying to educate Kev earlier on. My poor brummy comrade doesn't understand, unfortunately. I was trying to figure out a way to explain it to him in easier terms, but I think he still would have told us what. Oh well. I fucking love one. You might have to wait to get paid for it. You can print it off. Wait, I've got my conference next week, so I get my benefit on Tuesday. Then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday next week, Scottish Green Party conference through in Edinburgh. So I can there's buses every day. There's at least 20 a day or something. Fucking mental. Yeah, I thought you were. I assumed that. Nice one, John. Good Joy's comrades. John the Brazen is here. Yeah, we just read that. Unite, you know what to do. Carry on, please. How the fuck is she still the head of Unite? That's what I want to fucking know, unless she's literally rigged the way it's set up now from the inside. Which is scumfuckery of the highest order. Yeah, definitely looks like that. That's why I'm going to have to keep on saying, Unite, you know what you have to do now. Please, get rid of Sharon Graham. Oh, look, a pair of ball bags. Yes! Read Joy's comrades. Dargesh is here. Dargesh, how's it going? Been a hot minute since I've seen you. Hi, Dargesh is amazing. You are indeed alive, which is good to hear. I'm still trying to read through Magna Gothica. Holy fuck. Oh, I'm in Kane now. Me, Atomic Crouton, Morngo, and shit, Gnome Pickles. Oh, you survived a 30-day ban for not being sad enough about Kurt. I kind of skirted the line. I said the stream right after it happened on my I said to people, please be careful. I like my platform. I'm trying to educate people here. I will say, this has happened. This person has died. Under these circumstances, just don't just, I said, gun control might be a good idea now. Right, Joy's comrades. Linton is here. Hi, Linton. Kicks door open for 1,000 cheers. Love it. How you doing, Linton? Great to see you tonight. Gnome is good people, isn't he, Darkesh? Love Oh, I haven't misgendered them, I hope. I love Gnome. Doing quite well in Oh God. I've been put through the ringer in Kane. What the fuck? Raptor. I really thought I was going to die. God damn it. Right, shall we? This is a 6-minute read. This might take me. Gnome is good people. Yeah, Gnome is good people. Go and follow Gnome Pickles, everyone. They're great. I'm doing quite well, actually. Apart from that because it's raining more now and it's getting a little bit colder, the damp just goes right through me. My joints are moaning at me. Walking is a furious shuffle now. It's fun. Other than that, I'm doing quite well. Getting really pissed off at the cursed timeline we're living in, obviously. I'm doing well. Shall we, my comrades? You pair of fucking bastards. Okay. The NHS is the world's largest publicly funded health service. There's one gun for that position now. I love my NHS. It is the hill I will fucking die on. And this gives it tremendous bargaining power with Big Pharma. Correct. You bargain collectively, basically go and kind of metaphorically bonk the pharma companies. Look, we're buying in bulk. We have blah 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 number of patients who need blah 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 drug. You'll be guaranteed this at this lower price for ages. But no, they still try, well, capitalism, obviously, and Big Pharma. I would have loved to have sold my soul to them to get funding for my master's, my PhD. Are they going to fucking do it? Yes, it just fails on its own from outside bombardment from different fucking things, including them. They tried to do that to Cuba, failed miserably. It's one of the best it's one of the best health services on the fucking planet. Unfortunately, our current Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, but calling him his actual name, is significantly weaker than the NHS when it comes to bargaining. He's a briefcase, which is why we're facing a higher burden on health spending. Brilliant. Okay, then Sika. Trump pressure to hike UK drug prices could cost NHS billions. It is a classic move, isn't it, Linton? Funny how it keeps on happening. Corporate profits will increase, NHS budget will buy less. People to pay higher taxes or face public service cuts. Fuck off. Government must produce generic drugs. Been saying that for 15 years. Who governs UK? Government? Trump? Corporations? Fuck off, Donald. Okay, that's good. I know. 35 something. I'm trying to make out what that badge is next to the American flag. Looks like an F-35. Isn't this Labour government supposed to be all about efficiency and savings? The cost of going to business over the NHS. Right. America has always paid high drug prices because they historically haven't negotiated with drug companies. Thousands of lobbyists for pharma companies because there's lots of obviously there's about 12 big ones that they deal with, but there's lots of smaller ones, and they're all just as bad as each other. If you're wondering why the most powerful country to ever exist didn't negotiate, the answer is simple: pure, unadulterated corruption. They call it lobbying. The drug companies had a strong lobbying operation, one of the strongest in fucking their politics. And American politicians were open to being lobbied, bribed. It is bribery, which is a crime in my opinion. America first began negotiating drug prices, fucking hell, only 3 years ago, under Biden. Trump has continued this trend, but he wants to keep billionaire backers on board. In aid of this, he's arguing that America pays more because Europe has been reloading. No, we haven't. No, we haven't, Donald. Trust me on this one. I've got people who actually work in this area. Oh, ah. Reloading means not getting price gouged. Exactly, Dargesh. Thank you for stopping by, Miss Hire. Rejoice, comrades. The ever lovely Miss Hire. He does indeed, darling. 512 votes. He's gone at the next election. Ilford North, please do us a fucking favour and bin him in 4 years. I beg of yous. I'm glad health is devolved. I really am. Ugh, reloading. Fuck off. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. I've been saying to a lot of American comrades, if you can get out, get out. I like what Lainey says to me, said no, stay and fight. I get that. But for people with issues like mine, like physical issues, staying and fighting, obviously depends around who we got. Correct. Zero, zero fucking experience in this area. I'm trying to think of one who did have that was like like obviously the head of the NHS or Department for Health that did have experience, and I'm struggling. I know there's doctors in the Labour backbenchers. I think did Blair have one that was in any way, shape, or form connected to the NHS? I can't think. My mind's went blank. Right, here we go. In aid of this, he's arguing that America pays more because Europe has been freeloading. No, we haven't. I.e., it negotiated for fairer prices. Yeah, we did. In other words, America will pay a bit less for drugs. Several states, like the UK, will grovingly pay a lot more, and the drug companies will see their profits soar. Other interests out of the UK as Trump gave us the hard squeeze. A lot of the research that happens here is private pharmaceutical companies. What the fuck? Ah! Right, that happened to Helena earlier on. What the fuck is going on? Are we back? Can everyone hear me? I'm here. YouTube? YouTube still going? Are we here? Rejoice in the comments if I can be seen and heard. Please. Historically, we capped how much the NHS would pay for drugs. Right. Which forced drug companies to charge. Historically, we capped how much the NHS would pay for drugs. Good thing. Which forced drug companies to charge less or lose out on the British market. Now, as the Times have reported, Sir Keir Starmer is preparing to rip up NHS value for money rules in order to hand more money to the pharmaceutical industry. Delightful. The Prime Minister is ready to increase the price at which medicines are deemed cost effective. For the first time ever, I repeat, for the first time ever, under plans to prevent drug companies quitting Britain. Fuck 'em, let them quit. fund research and development in the UK. I would literally tell the pharmaceutical companies where to go. Ministers are now locked in a standoff over where to find billions of pounds to pay for more medicines. NHS chiefs are resisting a raid on their budgets to fund it, while the Treasury says there is no extra cash ahead of the tax raising budget. Rachel, what the fuck? You'll probably feel sick reading this. No, I'm getting fucking rage. Rage fueled. I need alcohol for this one. Do not test a disabled Scottish Marxist. If you piss me off enough, I will find a katana somewhere. Fuck him. Even a bloody epi, I'd be able to do something. Unfortunately, the medicine to rid you of that feeling will now cost significantly more. It's called an antiemetic. There's natural antiemetics. We can look some of them up if you like. Feeling Feeling sick themselves, people have reacted with disgust to Kid Starver's latest surrender. European Powell. Oh, drug prices in the UK could rise amid 100% tariffs on branded medicines and pressure from President Bobag if Kid Starver doesn't play ball. Crown prepares NHS drug spending hike to stave off Trump tariffs. UK caught in a pencil movement between Trump and Big Pharma. Right, Sharman Raman, right, Keir Starmer is preparing to increase the price that the NHS pays for drugs under plans to prevent pharmaceutical companies quitting the UK by changing NHS value for money rules. The NHS is a bulk purchaser of drugs. Well, yeah, they're buying it on behalf of a fucking nation. It should be paying less, not more. This man is determined to make us all worse off or very stupid. These were put in place so big pharma and the healthcare providers can literally rob the British state blind. And he's just caving to this fucking bully. You do not you do not deal with bullies. I would say what Super Hubby said to do to bullies, but I like my channel and I don't want to get bonked by Twitch. And I do keep on saying no violence. I do sincerely believe that, honestly. So I will not be repeating what Super Hubby says. What the correct course of action is to deal with bullies. Okay, just treatment. Breaking reports say the UK is preparing to hike NHS drug prices, a move pushed by Donald Trump and Big Pharma so they can pocket even bigger profits. If this goes ahead, more NHS funds will be siphoned off from care to corporate greed. A petition? Fucking yes. actionnetwork.org. I am sorry, Dargesh. Your president can suck all of my ass. There is an alternative. There always is. Big Pharma argue they need to run ungodly amounts to pay for research and development. Bullshit. Bullshit. Good for you, Dargesh. I feel for you so that you've got that as a president and your cabinet's fucking bunch of fucking lunatics. Big Pharma argued they need to earn ungodly amounts to pay for R&D into nuclear bollocks. Most of the money they get for doing R&D come from fucking central governments of entire fucking countries give to R&D for this shit. Case in point, COVID. Where do you think the majority of the funding for that research came from? Fucking, there are some major problems with this, with two key points being drug companies squander much of their R&D budget on work which only benefits them. In fact, 78% of new medical patents are for minor modifications to existing drugs because of the way it works in America. Fantastic. Not allowing them to go generic after a certain point. They just keep on tweaking shit. No, I'd ban that. I'd make that illegal. Not allowed to do that. Allowing these companies to maintain monopoly rights in a process called evergreening. By the profits being privatized, a significant portion of medical breakthroughs happens through public funding. Trust me, I know this. I studied this at uni. The vast majority of the money they get to do research comes from central government because you think the government might be a little bit interested in things that can make their populace deal with illness and disease or deal with new things that might be coming down the road. I did this fucking remember there's no such thing as a public or private scientist. You think of me like a public scientist if you like. There are scientists who work in these sectors, but these individuals are capable of breakthroughs no matter where they are. Correct. The difference between the two sectors is that one aims to end human suffering, the other reduces misery as a byproduct. Writing in the Guardian. Oh, Nick Dearden. Big Pharma uses any crisis as an opportunity. Correct. To boost its already inflated profits. Their profits are sickeningly high. People are literally dying because they refuse to sell these drugs at a reasonable cost. Personally, no one should be paying for healthcare. Healthcare should be completely free. You think these capitalist bastards would understand that if you've got a healthy, well-maintained um, reserve army of labour? It'd be better for you. You might even make more money. Who knows? But keeping your workers fit and healthy, I thought you would have been cool with that. But no, profit at all costs. Big Pharma uses any crisis as an opportunity to boost its already inflated profits. Yes. With Trump's support, it's determined to push its long-term goals. Well, it simply isn't the case that Britain pays too little for its medicines. Last year, NHS England spent close to 20 billion on medicine and devices. Uh, ah, ah, this be medical device. It not be drug. It be medical device. It's a compression sock. It's to help stop my blood from clotting. I have to put it on for at least 3 hours every day onto the right, like the right leg and foot. because apparently I'm at risk for creating big fuck off blood clots now. So that is a medical device. The thing's in this bag and in that box behind me. Aha, drug, medical. This is drug. This one specifically is a Pixaban. It's a blood thinner, or pregabalin, or gabapentin if you're American, or omeprazole, a proton pump inhibitor, basically to protect my stomach because NSAIDs fucking suck. God. There we go. There is a variety of things, so I have both medical devices and drugs. There's many different types of medical device. I've also got wrist supports and elbow supports. I did have a knee one, but because it was made of neoprene, because I bought it from Boots, I had to, well, it's not binned, I binned it for myself. It is sitting in a Ziploc bag in a box. So if anyone needs a knee brace, they're more than welcome to it. Research has repeatedly shown that branded medicines are actually too expensive rather than too cheap for the benefits they offer to patients. Even with the rebates and clawbacks, oh, I've got other, oh, wrong arm. Where are we? Right here on my left arm, my fentanyl patch for my pain, and where is it? There, I've got it. Um, instead of a pill, this is HRT as a patch. It's the combined this time, back on the combined, which is delightful for bone health. So I will be going through our time of the month again. Fun. The truth is that big pharma is already one of the most profitable industries in the world. Right. Diverting more of the NHS's stretched budgets to please these fantastically wealthy global corporations will not help patients. Right. Speaking on a possible alternative, Dearden said, it probably is the case that Britain underinvests in medical research. By handing blank checks to Big Pharma won't get us better drugs. It won't. We really should be researching, designing, and manufacturing this for ourselves. Really, we should. At one point in my life, I was on 16 drugs a day, 16 pills a day, not 16 different types of drugs. 4 types of drugs. Instead, we must seize this opportunity to end the stranglehold these companies have over our healthcare. Round of applause. And restructure the way we make our medicines. And I bring it back. Stay hands. This will cost money, but medicines cost the public a fortune anyway. We should work with countries across Europe to build world-class, publicly controlled medical research capacity. We have two. We have one of the best labs in Western Europe here in Glasgow, at my alma mater, actually. Then rather than handing over that research to the pharma industry, we must develop a different model that allows for the sharing and licensing of research in a way that supports international collaboration to produce better medicines for all. Hell yeah. Fucking bring it. Oh, there you go. A pattern has emerged with successive UK governments. They talk about sensible solutions and fiscal responsibility. Bonk. And then they put us all in incredible fiscal risk by undoing practical solutions which worked for decades. This Dabber is very much a continuation of the Tory governments of the 2010s, just as they were continuations of Blair and her. It's a race to the bottom and the floor is rushing to meet us. Would you look at that lovely bonk emo? I know what I'd be doing with it. Fuck off, you pair of fucking ghouls. It is literally the hill I will die on if they fuck with this. Fucking suck. Oh, oh, bro, I've already read that one. Get rid of that one there. The one about, Unite. Yes, old white people, usually old white men. So that was a connected one, basically. It involves both America and the UK, obviously, and other European countries as well, obviously. This is basically our benefits people being bastards. Funny that. The Department of Work and Pensions' latest plan with GP surgeries isn't new. Correct. Dargesh, this is basically our social security. It's called the Department for Work and Pensions. Benefits agency, essentially. I used to have to deal with them. My benefit comes from the Scottish Government now, so I don't need to worry about the Department of Work and Pensions too much. But myself and Super Hubby's joint claim for universal credit is from them, and an absolute fucking foolish looking bastard called Cat McFadden's in charge now. He is Scottish. He is not like me. He can fuck off. I was scared and rage filled with Liz Kendall being in charge. I'm actively panicking now that he's in Caxton House. To all my disabled and benefit claiming comrades down in England and Wales, no, down in England. No, it is England and Wales. Come up here. The Department of Work and Pensions has announced that they will further support disabled people into work by, checks notes, installing work coaches into GP surgeries. What the fuck? Yes, as well as forcing young people to take on low-paying jobs, gig economy, service sector, blah, and pushing those who can't work to retrain as HGV drivers. That'd be fun having me behind the fucking wheel of a fucking Arctic. The latest helpful scheme is to put DWP work coaches into healthcare settings. Fuck off. You know, where sick and disabled people go when they need medical attention, not to be forced into a job. I don't want to deal with you bastards, when I go to see my GP. Just fuck off. Nope, can't be arsed. Yes, but Miss Hires, thank you, thank you. So it was back before the fucking war. Just fucking end me. So he was in the coalition during the war, basically, as well. Thanks for doing that, Miss Hire. Much appreciated. And yeah, it's gonna be that's gonna be fun, isn't it? Oh God, these bastards. You want to know what's the worst part of this now that he's in charge? He knows exactly what he's going to be doing. He knows exactly what he's trying to hide from all of us. Just he's doing this because he wants to do this. He is that kind of fucking bastard. We do produce them every now and again, obviously. Sorry about this. That absolute fucking ghoul in charge at Caxton House is going to be fucking terrifying. I bet he's been wanting to get at that department for years. Kind of close. That's kind of close. Obviously, studying sociology kind of hits on health issues and stuff. I'd want an actual doctor or someone who worked within the NHS for fucking years before going into politics to be the head of the Department of Health and Social Care. I'd like that because it's not like they're short of doctors on the Labour backbenches. They've got Rosina Allen Can. I think, well, Hilary Benn, he's a doctor. Thank you so kindly, darling. You didn't need to do that. But we have to go back over 80 fucking years? That is nuts. Just what the fuck? Uh, okay, connect to work. Really? The announcement from the DWP is that Connect to Work scheme will see job advisors to be embedded in GP surgeries as tens of thousands more sick and disabled people offered help into work. Fuck off. I do not want to see you bastards when I visit my GP. The press release claimed that over 40,000 people, 40,000 more people who are out of work due to sickness and disability will be given intensive employment support. Correct, Miss Hire. Correct. Well said, darling. Intensive employment support, which will help them get back into secure, fulfilling work and out of poverty. Please, for the love that all that is holy on this earth, do not force us back into employment. It will literally, it'll be so detrimental for some of us, those of people like me who have physical disabilities. My body is literally breaking down inside of me. I've been an absolute fucking hazard in a work setting. I'm an absolute hazard in my own house. Some people can't be forced back in. If you do that, and this person, either if it's mental health issues, snaps, not good. Or people like me go back into the work and literally like snaps, breaks, falls, shit like that, brain trauma. Shouldn't be forcing any of us back into work. But if you want to carry on, you can stop, obviously. Thank you so much, sweetie. I really do appreciate it. Correct. They're doing this by expanding the Connect to Work scheme, which saw the pilot of its specialist work advisor put into settings such as GP surgeries and mental health units to help disabled and sick people back into work. Of course, I use help here because that's their word, not mine. I will be back momentarily, comrades. I do apologise, comrades. That's very well. Oh, a bit closer. I do apologise. Right, covered. Oh dear. Ah, fuck. Oh, motherfucker. Right, go there. Ah. Right, boom. Come forward. Yes, that's better. Right, cover now. Going to be curious. I'm going to get this. Right, in there. Right. The press release claimed that over 40,000 more people who are out of work due to sickness and disability will be given intensive employment support. I do not trust them with that. This is a very sick joke. It does miss high. It's delightfully infuriating to me. They get people like Zach on and fucking Zia Yusuf and fucking whatever the latest Tory sacrificial lamb is. I don't know why they're fucking bothering. Oi, Huddleston, your party's effectively dead. Get wrecked. Go away. No one's gonna fucking vote for you. Hopefully, with any luck, this is a one Labour government. Maybe having a coalition like a Rainbow Coalition might be quite. I missed the riot. I had to go and deal with something. Sorry. I do apologise about that. Sorry, Turkish. Oh yeah, you are still a mod. Intensive employment support, which will help them to get back into secure, fulfilling work and out of poverty. Believe it when I see it, I've seen other schemes that you've introduced and they've not worked either. From both you, the Labour and Tory, and the coalition cunts. Correct. They're doing this by expanding the Connect to Work scheme, which saw the pilot of specialist work advisors put into settings such as GP surgeries and mental health units. Fucking hell. To help disabled and sick people back into work. Fucking try me. Seriously, try it, see what fucking happens. I say to everyone out there, if you try and force me back in, I know I will be a fucking hazard in the workplace. Just no, don't bother. Just leave me alone. Just no. And there is many people like me across the land who are like me who can't go back into work for complex health reasons. We maintain an even keel using drug regimen and support from our GPs and physiotherapists and going to orthotics and things of that nature. You cannot force us back into work. Some of us will fucking literally have a meltdown, which is never a good thing for anyone involved. Or you have people like me who's a danger to both themselves and everyone around her. You ain't going to be forcing this back into works. Just by telling you now. Connect to Work is, as the Department for Work and Pensions describes it, the programme that refuses to write off sick or disabled people. That could be taken a couple of different ways. Oh no, it is a form of eugenics, darling. It is. I've said as much in Helena's chat the last year and the year before, last year a couple of times actually, and last year just before the general election, the mid-June or something, earlier mid-June. I said some of the things that Liz Kendall wants to introduce is literally a form of eugenics. It is. You're not being hyperbolic, trust me on that. I do people like me who do research into this for their streams and basically for my own mental health, then just to see what's coming down the road from these fuckers. I've got nothing but time on my hands, so I can literally do all the research during the day up here, typing away on my keyboard. I can get all this fucking information at the tip of my fingers when they work. However, what it actually involves is finding more and more persuasive ways to force work down the throats of vulnerable people who have already been deemed too sick or disabled by the Department for Work and Pensions. Literally, the amount of hoops I had to jump through, just me myself, fucking ridiculous. The amount of medical evidence I had to send to the Department of Work and Pensions. Seriously, not happy about doing that. And they still went against me. I appealed it all the way up to fucking tribunal, and they showed there's always a Department of Work and Pensions representative on the tribunal panel for reasons. Then three others, usually someone in the medical sphere. I was lucky the one on my tribunal was a friend of my fucking GP, an actual doctor. He came up to me and said, Katie, don't worry. I'm a friend of your GP. I'm a friend of Dr. Campbell. I've reviewed this. You don't need to worry about him at the end. Delightful. At that point, when I was going through that a while ago, it was during the coalition years, 2013 or something, 2012. However, what it actually involves, that's how they receive their benefits in the first place. Literally, we've been deemed unfit. It's not just bestowed upon them when they get ill. Said no, doesn't work like that. As the media and politicians make out, it's not that easy. Seriously, going all the way up to the tribunal. It did take a toll on me. Super happy was I could see him deteriorating on a weekly basis as this went on. Not like he was getting angrier and angrier. I basically ignored myself. I, my, I kept an even keel in my mind and stuff. I just ignored everything else about me and tried to keep him calm from just basically going nuclear, going medieval on their arse. Try to keep him calm because he could see how much I was physically getting damaged going through that process. It was fun. I kept him calm. That was my mission. Just keep him calm so he doesn't explode. That entire process took 7 months essentially, so we were off our benefits for 6 months. No, 6 months, 2 weeks, and if I remember correctly, at least 3 days. I remembered it. It's in a diary somewhere in a box. The system is designed to deny us. They've made it too convoluted in some ways. Easy, but saying, no, you haven't fulfilled, check, 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 check box, sanctioned. So they've made it easy to get like job seekers allowance or universal credit now. It's a little bit harder actually, but getting just your basic job seeker money back in the day, it's really fucking easy. Then came your list of commitments, and if you didn't do one of them, if you just missed one of them, got sanctioned. Easy to get. A multitude of ways you have to keep on top of it so you don't get sanctioned by the bastards. Universal credit's been made like what I've went through with my disability payments, my disability benefits. They've made it convoluted, downright stupid in places, and an absolute fucking labyrinth. And it's not the fucking Minotaur you're dealing with at the end of it, because the Minotaur would be relatively easy to deal with than this. It's not just bestowed upon them when they get ill. No, no, no. As the media and politicians make out. Sick and disabled people have already jumped through all of the DWP hoops to prove they can't work. Yes, we have. And now they want to force them into work anyway. Health Minister Stephen Kinnock, in a quote he probably laughed at himself for, said, "This investment is just what the doctor ordered and will help thousands more find the help they need to get back into a job." Lord Kinnock, if you can hear me, scalp your son upside the head. I bet he's still alive, isn't he, Lord Kinnock? I'm sure. Fuck off, Stephen Kinnock, you absolute wank. Oh, look, the Northeast. We need Leslie here for this bit. Labour pretending to care about the Northeast. Again, this expansion will see the scheme rolled out in a further 6 areas, with the aim that by April, November, December, January, February, March, 6 months. Fun. With the aim that by April, 6 months' time, all local authorities in England will have these specialist advisors in healthcare settings, such as GP surgeries and mental health clinics. Though, as I explained in the Canary a couple of weeks ago, these specialists are actually just redeployed work coaches from job centres. I've interacted with these people. Some of them are genuinely nice, they're lovely, and they say, so, you have to do this, this, and this, and they get to basically help you because they're human beings. Then you've got clueless bastards who follow orders from on high, literally to the letter, saying, This is my job. This is what I have to do. And some of them downright evil, in my opinion. They take active glee in watching us fucking suffer. I'm sure of it. So it's a mix between all of them. There's probably slightly more horrible bastards working as job coaches than there is the completely clueless, follow orders from on high kind of idiots. And actual genuine human beings who are just doing their job, apologi apologizing to us throughout, saying sorry, we just have to go through all this stuff. Oh, that's good. Yeah, duck off and then duck off some more, Stephen Kinnock. Yes. As you can tell, I'm not overly fond of Stephen Kinnock. The government has promised funding of over 1 billion across England and Wales over the next 5 years for Connect to Work. Oh, you wait, darling. Thank you, Miss Hire. Always a pleasure. Stay hydrated, not necessarily with cider or any other alcohol. Self-care is good care. Take your meds. Stay based. And I'll catch you later. Mm. I do so love that one. It's really quite fun. Like it. That's Kev's, isn't it? That's Kev's. It is. It is one of our Brummy comrades. The government has promised funding of over 1 billion across England and Wales. That doesn't seem a lot for this initiative. Over the next 5 years for Connect to Work, which is weird when they're constantly talking about how expensive the welfare bill is to justify benefit cuts. Boo. The North East, for a change, is receiving the most money in this round of funding as it will receive up to up to 49.7 million to support 13,800 people who have been written off for too long. I don't like that line. Written off for too long. Talking about people like me, by the sounds of it. This is scumfuckery of the highest order. I do not like it. As a disabled person from the northeast, I've written extensively about just how much harder it is for disabled people to survive on successive governments that don't give a fuck about us unless they are using us as a political football. Hi Rachel, I feel you. I really do. Disabled person here, literally trying to fight for my existence at times, especially under the coalition government. It sucks. It also doesn't help that the Northeast is all lumped together as one area when it's an expansive and diverse region. Yes, it is. The needs of those in parts of Northumberland can't be lumped in with those in Sunderland or Middlesbrough. Correct. This country is incredibly diverse. I mean, like the UK, just the Scotland, England, and Wales. This bit, we are incredibly diverse. There's lots of different types of people here. Funny that. The North East, along with Portsmouth and East Sussex, will also receive extra support, including access to affordable childcare, good thing, and virtual reality classrooms to support people with interview practice. That can fuck off. I've done like those mock interview classes a few times in my life back in my 20s. that you can't, you don't know who you're going to be getting at interviews. There is no point trying to job coach us like that. We don't know who the interviewer is. And we'd be getting interviews in wildly different sectors of the economy. That is, that is, that's just daft. Which seems in absolutely no way like a complete waste of money. It fucking is. Something seems familiar with this new DWP plan. It all kind of smells of something, doesn't it? Weirdly enough, though, the Department of Work and Pensions technically already made this announcement, 4th of September. It was announced that thousands of sick and disabled people will get life-changing support into work. Believe it when I see it. This plan, admittedly, more woolly and does not nail down exactly what this support will be. But the figures are the same. The only difference is that the quote is from Kendall, as this announcement came the day after Labour's mega reshuffle. Uh, to me, this feels like a desperate attempt from Labour to distance itself from Kendall's disastrous reign and make McFadden look like he's doing more than he actually is. Oh no, he'll be formulating shit. Don't worry, he'll get to work trying to mince people like me, put us through the wood chipper and shit like that. I am absolutely terrified of this man in charge at Caxton House. Just no, fuck off. Why did you do this to us, Starmer, you bastard? Excuse me. We've literally been demonized for decades. Scroungers, benefits, blah blah blah, all that fucking bollocks. We are not fucking scroungers. We genuinely cannot work. We'd be a hazard to all and ourselves. Okay? McFadden downplays how much this will damage community care. Think you're going to get a true answer from this fucking ghoul? God hold your breath. Pat McFadden, Chief of the Department of Work and Pensions, faced questioning on Good Morning Britain after a GP raised their concerns. Ed Balls, former Shadow Chancellor and Labour politician, told McFadden, "We spoke to a GP today who said this is going to be the benefit police coming into your GP surgery and will put people off coming in." I agree. But you're saying in the surgery the advice is voluntary, it's not going to be forcing people to do things? To which the ghoul replied, "I think benefits police is a misconception here. You don't get to decide how I react to shit. If it looks like benefit police to me, I'm going to call it that. So shut up. That's not what's offered here. This is really intense, valuable support to get into work." Oh, God, it fucking hurts. But it's a very valid concern. Disabled people are already sick of being hassled. They're getting monstered by the DWP to find work despite not being able to work. Putting work coaches into GP surgeries won't make them feel safer. In fact, the opposite will happen. I totally agree. Rejoice, comrades. Mad Mart is here. Hi, Mad Mart. They're cutting funding to access to work. I've received funds from that before, many years ago. Was it called access to work then? I can't remember. But I've received help when I used to work back over 25 years ago. That's all I'll say. Yeah, daft. Very fucking daft. Yeah, they're cutting funding to access to work. Don't like it. For those who do not know, access to work gets you ergonomic keyboard, a better mouse, like wireless. Love this. Screen filters, better chairs, um, modified toilets in your place of work, things like that. Hearing aids, specialist glasses for the blind. We could all apply to this saying, oh, I work in blah blah place, I could maybe do with blah blah thing. And you'd apply for it and say, okay, there's the money. Yes, you go ahead, buy this, send in receipt, and we'll give you the money back for it. So that's basically it. So yes, good. They're going to be cutting the funding for that, so people can't get this shit. You know, like wrist supports or ergonomic keyboard or I know things to cancel out noises and stuff while you're doing your work. I can still hear kind of what's happening around me. I can still hear shit. But some people work better. Hang on, hold on a minute. When they're wearing noise cancelling headphones and things like that. How are GPs supposed to provide care for the community when many people are too scared to seek medical attention for fear they'll be forced into work? While having someone who embodies hatred towards disabled people, not a root community trust, in health services such as GPs. I'll do what? Yes, that is stupid. That is very fucking daft. They want companies to pay for things. No, most practices, the practices I've been in my life, is five of them, roughly. The two that I've been in the longest was the one up in Perth growing up as a little girl. That one was tiny, literally one of the smallest GP practices in Perth. Fucking nuts. I'll include that one. That one's a little bit better actually, but that one is kind of huge. The one that I had when I lived in Clydebank was literally a purpose-built GP practice with about 20 different GPs in it. I think they're down to about just slightly over 10. But when I was living there, it was over 20 GPs in this fucking thing. Fucking huge. For a GP practice, you might be able to put someone in that one. My current one's just been upgraded, like fixed up and stuff like that. I don't know where they'd go in my current GP practice. It's basically on the same campus as the Glasgow Royal Infirmary. So, in that way. Oh, no, no. I have no idea unless someone's willing to give up one of their offices, their rooms. No, no, that one definitely can't get converted. The standard GP one, technically that one is empty. It's not assigned to anyone. There is one room which used to be an actual GP, but she's retired now. She's my former GP. So her office is empty, just sitting there, not getting used. Well, it's getting used by the locum. But all this comes as the Department of Work and Pensions job coaches are already hassling those who have been deemed as unfit to work by the government to take on skills courses. Shut off! And even being encouraged to find new careers, including driving HGVs. I will say again, I'd be a fucking hazard behind the wheel of a fucking Arctic. There's also that Reeves wants to force anyone under 22 who is unemployed into low-paying placements, and of course, the Department of Work and Pensions want to stop anyone under 22 from claiming universal credit health elements as well. Because apparently, under the age of 22, you're not disabled. I'm living proof that is incorrect. Just me. That should be all the proof they fucking need. If one person in the fucking country can be disabled under the age of 22, hundreds of thousands or millions more can be. Just saying. There's also the very obvious fact that alongside all these announcements and ways to help disabled people into work, there's no actual practical help. That's usually what happens. The Department of Work and Pensions have made no commitment in terms of access to work, which is rather, I quite like it. In fact, they are quietly cutting that. They are indeed. And despite them giving all of this extra money to local authorities to fund these services, access to work or even money to make businesses more work accessible or to support disabled people to interviews doesn't even factor into the budget. Never does. Pushing work coaches into the NHS won't make more sick and disabled people seek help to get back into work. It will make disabled people who are already scared that they won't survive this Labour government even less likely to seek medical attention at a time when they're already fighting for their lives. Thank you, Rachel. You are best. If you can, I will urge all my lovely comrades to follow the Canary for based news like this. Keeping us informed of what is happening, especially where benefits are concerned. Am I bothered by this one? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, don't you? Oh, you're still going. You working? Oh, there is blood on my mouse, Matt. There's walking. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Usual. Oh my God. My chaos-based family are in a purpose-built one as well. It's on the same sort of area as Perth Royal Infirmary. Oh dear God. I had an MRI. June, July? What are my paydays? July, and I got my letter back in 3 weeks. Oh, for crying out loud, that's ridiculous. That is daftness of the highest order, Mad Mart. You don't need to say, especially because it's someone else's information. Was it a major chunk or like a joint or a section? What I went for with my MRI was my pelvic girdle, essentially my hips and my lower back and the top part of my thighs. They wanted to see why my walking was my gait, if you wish, and the way I was moving my hips. My GP, my rheumatologist actually thought, you're, mm, you're walking a bit funny. I think something might be wrong with your hip joint. Fuck. So she sent me to get an MRI done. It only took 2 months to get that MRI appointment. Look at me. You should have had it by now. It should only take about a month at tops, not 2 months. That's mental. Let's check. I'll watch later. See what I've got in here. More alcohol. Boom. Oh, Tom. Oh, oh, I've only got that short from Don't Think I'll play it.
So we've seen over the past sort of several years a general attack on our right to protest, which was happening under previous government and hasn't been stopped under this government. And the rights that we all have now, you and I have, and we all have, they've been hard won by protest. They weren't just given to us by those that are in charge of us. We won them. We won them by trespassing. We won them by suffragettes. All of those things we've won them by. And where we see governments trying to close that down, we are.
I am not saying this, but if I'll give you its old timey name, not its current one, which is actually fits it better. It used to be called consumption. I seriously hope it's not that. That is not a nice way to go. So if you went to get an MRI or they went to get an MRI for that, pleurisy was a good shout actually. The medical speak, the pleural cavity is part of the lungs essentially. It's just outside the lungs, goes along like that around the lungs, up around the trying to map who your lungs are is rather difficult. Well, if they've had blood, get them sent back to the phlebotomist. I take it for granted because I get my things. It definitely sounds like it because if he's struggling to breathe, you might need to go into inhalers or especially a specialist kind of nebulizer. My mum goes and gets this thing. She just goes to the GP practice. You can actually get it for your house, your home, so you don't need to keep on going backwards and forwards to your GP practice to use this piece of kit. But my mum goes and uses it either once a week or once a fortnight, and the GP catches up with her essentially while she's so it's either heated or cooled or done at certain pressures to help with her breathing. She suffered. I think Mum's got a form of long COVID because she's always coughing and she's losing her breath quite quickly. Fucking hell. My muscles don't work either. The sympathy, the solidarity to your friend. Tell him I know what he's going through. My muscles are weird. And they misfire all the time. It's the life, well, my nerves do. My muscles twitch oddly. And the connective tissue basically keeping all of this together. Mostly the ones that attach to bone and things of that nature. Don't get me wrong, other connective tissue within the skin and within the actual organs not doing that great either. Oh, they'll want letters like that. They'll want evidence like that, and they'll go and pester. They will literally pester his GP. They pester my GP. My three separate GPs that I've had in this practice since I lived in this flat. Two of whom are both retired now. Dr. McGee, he is retired. Dr. Campbell, she is also retired. And now I've got, well, technically it's him, but I see her more. It is Dr. Verma, who I've been seeing just after the pandemic. So Dr. Campbell retired about 18 months after the pandemic, a year ago, 2 years. 2 years. I've been seeing Dr. Verma for 2 years now. So your pal can go and see his GP and say, I think you might need to do more bloods. Or send me for a stress test or some. There's things they can do. They can put them into a clinic, essentially a day clinic, and check stuff. Ugh. You know, I'll go back
rightly
to
worried.
him.
So it's our duty really to say, hang on a minute, this should not be happening. So we've seen over the past sort of several years a general attack on our right to protest, which was happening under previous government and hasn't been stopped under this government. And the rights that we all have now, you and I have, and we all have, they've been hard won by protest. They weren't just given to us by those that are in charge of us. We won them. We won them by trespassing. We won them by suffragettes. All of those things we won them by. And where we see governments trying to close that down, we are rightly worried. So it's our duty really to say, hang on a minute, this should not be happening here, it should not be happening now, and yet it is. How
I'm getting the booster. I don't know if you're up here or down in England or Wales or Northern Ireland even. I'll just quickly say there is only Ireland. I'm getting it back. I've been getting since the pandemic. Actually, there was lucky in fact that she'd been campaigning for fucking decades for all of us. I'm finally getting the. Are you down? Oh God, you're down in England. Did you remember the categories of who were the orders of who were getting the jab during the pandemic? So there was five classes essentially. I was in class two because the autoimmune and disabled and another couple of issues. And Super Hubby was stage three, group three. Fuck, I'm getting it. Oh, sorry. Oh, you're a carer for your mum. You're like my super hubby, but you're a super son. Sweet. Praise be the carers. Lots of us would not be functional without the carer. Seriously, the amount of shit super hubby does. He does everything around the household essentially. Don't get me wrong, I try my best. I'm good at doing the laundry. Mind you, in saying that now that the weather's turned and he hang it outside, we have clothes horse and the central heating. I can actually keep the place warm. So I do not go blue or blue fingers or blue toes, but I'm wearing socks. People like you and Super Hubby are fucking awesome. Seriously, you're amazing people. Technically, my mum's a carer for my niece, her granddaughter. My lovely darling has mental health issues, plus the physical issues as well, actual physical disabilities. She has flat. They have flat. They have a flat, and I text them, see how they're doing and stuff.
Have we got to this point with these protests where people are being sort of hauled off the streets in mass numbers for holding up signs? It seems ridiculous, I think. Ridiculous, but not funny ridiculous, like seriously worryingly ridiculous. To see these
Yes,
people
what the
who,
fuck
for their
ridiculous.
conscience,
Just
they're
seriously,
there
what the fuck?
peacefully sitting, holding a sign. People of all ages and from all backgrounds and being hauled away. And they're absolutely just peaceful
Fucking
protesters.
vicars in their
That is not
80s
legal
getting
under
hauled away
international human
by
rights
the
law.
Bosch.
So you can only be arrested for inciting violence, discrimination, or hatred. So sitting holding a sign saying that you support an organisation is not that. So something's gone really wrong, is what we think as Amnesty International. Something's going very wrong with how we are and how the UK terrorism laws have been developed, which are like really broad and vague, and that then leads to this problem where people are being scooped up under that. And we've had an issue and talked about our concerns over what might happen with the broadness and vagueness of these terrorism laws, and that's now coming to pass in this instance.
I mean, it's very clear that a lot of the policies that we are hearing from Reform are racist. But what's really striking is that
Maggie Chapman, by the way, Scottish Green is MSP. I'm getting I'm getting the flu jab anyway. I had my GP call me during the week. Wednesday? Last Wednesday. Fucking over a week ago, Christ. Saying that I'm still eligible and I'll get the letter sent out. He just needs to tick a box and say, yes, this person, blah, blah, blah. I will be getting that usually in British. He said I was eligible to get the COVID one, but obviously it's up to the trust, not the GP. With that side of it, the GP's more involved with who gets the flu jab because obviously they see us more than the actual trust does. But for things like that, for the boosters, it's more on the side of the, the trust, the NHS Scotland. I'm just going on what he said to me that I'd be getting it. But I'm fine. I've had my two actual shots and 6 boosters. So I don't know what's on them. You get the flu jab. Oh yeah, carer. Yeah. Super hubby went and got his last Saturday, so a week ago. So that's him covered. Before I used to get, when I didn't get the flu jab, he was basically my cover. He was my herd immunity because he got the flu jab each year. I get it myself now because Dr. Campbell is an absolute fucking legend. Praise beer. I love her. I suppose I could get my GP to call me back. I just say that I need to see him, and they usually call back within a week. Usually call back within 2 or 3 days. And if it's something that I just need to ask him about, not actually physically going and see him, he's fine with that. Mind you, I'm in a specialist group that he was literally hired. He bought himself he got invited into this practice because they were noticing a growing number of people with autoimmune and other disabling things because of pandemic. So they saw this coming on the horizon, coming over the horizon, and thought we better get fucking ahead of this. And brought in someone who was actually a specialist in communicable diseases, autoimmune, and breathing and blood disorders. Dr. Verma is fucking very intelligent. So We'll get back to you in a second, Maggie. I'm fine if I don't get the COVID, the booster or anything. Okay, I'll need to ask Super Hubby if he actually gets it. He might because he's a carer. There was a huge question mark hanging over people with autoimmune diseases, especially ones like mine, whether to actually give us the COVID jab or not, because they didn't know how it would react in some of us. I'm pretty sure most of us would have just said, "Give us the fucking shot, just yes it." You don't know half of you don't know half of what is wrong with us, and you're studying it constantly to try and figure out how autoimmune diseases work. Still haven't come to anywhere near conclusion or conclusive proof of how this actually happens to us. Genetics, environment, who knows? Studies are ongoing. I check in with them every couple of years to see if anything's changed in the studies, what they're doing, because they're researching whose data they're actually using. So said no, most of us would basically turn around and say to them, no, just guess the fucking jab. I'd rather know that I've got the jab to protect me against a fucking deadly virus than wonder how this is going to interact with my immune system. No, fucking
I mean, it's very clear that a lot of the policies that we are hearing from Reform are racist. But what's really striking is that Labour seem to be following them. Labour seem to be trying to outdo the right by pandering to them. We've seen that with their proposals around clamping down on immigration. We've seen that on so many different levels. What we really need to see is all of our politicians be very, very clear and state very clearly that there is no place for racism on our streets. There is no place for the kind of bigotry and hatred and the stirring up of that hatred that we are seeing far too often on our streets.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has arrived in Mumbai for a 2-day visit to India. He's joined by hundreds of business and
pause. Nah.
I mean, it's very clear that a lot of the policies that we are hearing
Video in here.
So we've seen over the past sort of several years a general.
That might be an idea. I might put that onto my ring on necklace. Oh, necklace. It just says the main channel. Ah, there it's there. Oh my god. That one might be quite fun. Hmm. Oh. Sorry about that. I was typing with just one of my fingers, not what I usually do too. Tibbet! Rejoice, comrades, Tibbet is here. Hi, Tibbet. Yes, hydrate. Cider counts, doesn't it? That should be relatively easy to come back to. Hello, how goes things? I figured out where I was going wrong. I'd put my chair back to watch videos about a game I'm playing, see where I'm going wrong. Apparently quite badly wrong in some of it. So I'm watching videos of a certain channel, watching, oh right, I'm not meant to do that one. Oh, I'm meant to do this instead. That makes sense. Oh, the game's called Oxygen Not Included. This is rather fun. I'm loving it, and I'm not fucking up. So I had my chair back. It's a very jaunty angle, very quite far back actually, so I could stretch my legs out on a box actually, not a footrest. So I forgot to bring it back up to actually support the spine, so now it's in its rigid position, which is good. I can actually sit up straight and not destroy my posture even more. I do like that emote. Where, where be it from? Mas- I'm not sure who that is. Huh. I'm, I don't know who that. I looked it up. I usually recognise some of the more common ones that people use, especially in leftist circles, because they're quite fun. Some of the emotes, literally, some of them are so fucking hilarious. I love them. I'm not sure what one that is. Who's stream? What stream? What streamer? What streamer? your your emote you've used there. What streamer's that? I just don't like it. It is rather fun. I do like cats. Delightfully indifferent or very fucking skittish and mental. My neighbour's cat isn't like that. Tilly's very skittish. She sits in my lap. I'm the only person out with the household, basically. My neighbour lives on her own. Tilly sits in my lap. My bloody sweet Ukrainian guy. Cool. You have a very fun emote, sweet Ukrainian person. Nice one. Oh, more. Cool. Feel free to spam my ones about the interwebs, especially my one with the salt. I fucking love it. And it looks like the one with the little red flag, the little red banner, might be in use. Fantastic. Good. And if ever hash turn up, bonk with frying pan. That was my first one. I love that one. It is amazing. Literally, if that come up to me in the street, I would hope I would have a frying pan on myself. Oh, right. The British government being fash. Fun. Take it away,
So how
Tom.
have we got to this point with these protests where people are being sort of hauled off the streets in mass numbers for holding up signs? It seems ridiculous, I think.
I'm here in Parliament Square in London, which recently saw the mass arrest of 857 protesters. Their crime? Holding a sign reading this. In fact, I'm not going to risk saying the sentence myself for reasons we will discuss. You can read that for yourself on the screen.
Just 1 month prior, a further 466 protesters.
I will not be seeing it either. I will see that dripping or PA. I got the PA one from My Left Eye. Great YouTuber. The Bruise at 10. It'd be lovely. He'd be awesome. He'd be Mancunian. So he says PA in his live streams. I am adopting that as well, or this grouping of protesters. Which is fucking ridiculous, because I shouldn't need to keep myself shielded from a possible 14-year sentence. Camel? Camel? That is a neon flashing camel. That is delightfully weird. That's a really fun one. I like that. Neon flashing camel. Nice.
Were arrested in the same spot for the very same crime. The day after we recorded this video, it happened again. At time of recording, more than 2,000 people have been arrested across the country for the same offence.
So how do we get to the point where holding a sign can be illegal?
Last year, I made a piece which touched on the introduction of a new wave of stringent anti-protest laws here in the UK. Since then, we've had a change of government, and yet attempts to crack down on protest have continued on regardless. Just this week, the government has promised to give even more powers to the police to ban protests which are deemed too repetitive. I'm here in London to speak with Kerry Muscajuri from Amnesty International UK.
I'm hoping she can shed some light on the state of freedom of expression here in the UK and explain why Amnesty has expressed such significant alarm over these recent arrests.
This is a new format that we're experimenting with on the channel, in which I'm hoping to chat with experts, people with power, and those critical of it.
Trying out new stuff like this is always a massive risk, and so I want to say a big thank you to the folks who support my work over on Patreon, who give us a little bit of license to experiment every now and then. We'd love to know what you think about this new format down in the comments, and we would also love it if you would consider joining some of those people over at patreon.com/Tom Nicholas. Perfect timing.
My name is Kerry Muscajuri, and I am the Director of Campaigns and Communications at Amnesty International UK.
And what is the kind of like mission and remit of Amnesty?
So Amnesty International is the world's largest human rights organisation, started in 1961, and our mission is around promoting, protecting human rights across the world. So we're a global movement of people. We really believe in people taking action to achieve change, and we absolutely believe in human rights. So we were started in response to in the 1960s, a couple of Portuguese students raising a toast to freedom and being arrested. And Peter Benenson, the founder of Amnesty, wrote this amazing...
In Portugal, Salazar. Delightful. Delightful individual. He was a fucking fascist. Was he the longest? I can't remember. But Salazar was there for a while. So is that what started it? Was what was happening in Salazar's Portugal? Fucking brilliant.
article in the Observer, which you could read now and relate to now. You know, you could just think like it's still real, which is when you see these things happening in the world as an individual at home, and you feel this sense of outrage, like how can that happen? How can someone be arrested for toasting freedom? In his words, paraphrasing, were surely if we all joined together, something could be done. And that's what Amnesty is about: is people who see what's happening in the world,
No problem.
and and want to do something about it, but as an individual,
I will
we
wait
can't, but
until you
collectively we
return,
can.
darling.
And so we've grown from there and obviously built huge expertise in human rights and understanding human rights law, developing research. So we research human rights violations globally. So we can provide evidence where governments try to say this is not happening. We can say, oh yes, it is, and this we've seen it. Our research is impeccable. So we're able to do that research and then build campaigns around it to achieve change. So it's all about building a world in which human rights are at the heart so that we can live together safely and peacefully and enjoyably.
Yeah, and I think when a lot of people think about Amnesty International, it is probably that work, rightly or wrongly, of kind of supporting political prisoners or human rights kind of in other countries, the sort of mythical over there. At the moment, a lot of your focus is on sort of freedom of expression here in the UK. Can you tell me what's got you so worried about that?
Yeah, I mean, our work is global and local, and for a long time, Amnesty couldn't work on issues in its own country. That was kind of the rule, and that was about protecting people working in the country and keeping people safe. But over time, because it's a democratic organisation, a movement of people, we make decisions by the members of Amnesty come together in these big global kind of meetings to say we need to change and go in this direction. We need to develop our work here. And as part of that, people working in Amnesty offices, sections, we call them around the world, were saying, we need to work on human rights in our own country. It's all well and good us talking about human rights over there, but they're happening here. So over time, the movement has changed so that we can now work on issues in our own country. And so that's not just here, that's everywhere. But yes, so we then in the UK, obviously, in the main, the UK, if you look at what's happening human rights-wise here and say China or Israel occupied Palestine territories or China, you would say, well, it's not exactly the same in terms of how egregious those are. But they are happening here, and we need to, it's our job as a people working in the UK to bring that to the attention of the government, partly because of what's happening to us as individuals here in the UK, and we matter, but also because of the role of the UK on the global stage. So one thing that we are worrying about as Amnesty International right now is that there's this kind of trend in authoritarianism that was happening already, but is kind of a bit turbocharged by Donald Trump. So there's a kind of general thinking around what is happening with authoritarianism. And then we're seeing what is happening right now in the UK. So we're working not just on, in the UK, not just on the right to protest, although that is important because that's being eroded over time and we're seeing that, but also on economic, social, cultural rights here too, which is a human right. So our right to be able to have a decent standard of living. So we're working on all of those rights. But yeah, you asked me about freedom of expression and right to protest. So we've seen over the past sort of several years a general attack on our right to protest, which was happening under previous government and hasn't been stopped under this government. So, and it's absolutely the case that people do have a right to peaceful protest, and the rights that we all have now, you and I have, and we all have, they've been hard won by protests. They weren't just given to us by those that are in charge of us. We win them. We win them by, trespassing. We win them by suffragettes. All of those things we win them by. And where we see governments trying to close that down, we are rightly worried. So it's our duty really to say, hang on a minute, this should not be happening here. It should not be happening.
I promised Super Happy if I would only put it on if I needed to. If I keep on having to bring this up and basically black myself up like some sort of fucking fast food, I might just need to go and put the central heating back on. Maybe give myself a hot water bottle. We're doing okay there. Play.
Now and yet it is.
God damn you.
And the particular, one of your biggest campaigns at the moment is around arrests of protesters, which people might have seen on the TV for holding signs, I guess, is the kind of crime. Can you explain how that can be illegal? How did we sort of get to that point?
Well, it shouldn't be illegal to hold a sign. I mean, that is basically a fact. So, yeah, so how have we got to this point with these protests where people are being sort of hauled off the streets in mass numbers for holding up signs? It seems ridiculous, I think. Ridiculous, but not funny ridiculous, like seriously worryingly ridiculous to see these people who, for their conscience, they're there peacefully sitting, holding a sign. People of all ages and from all backgrounds and being hauled away. And they're absolutely just peaceful protesters. That is not legal under international human rights law. So you can only be arrested for inciting violence, discrimination or hatred. So sitting, holding a sign, saying that you support an organisation is not that. So something's gone really wrong, is what we think as Amnesty International. Something's going very wrong with how we are and how the UK terrorism laws have been developed, which are like really broad and vague. And that then leads to this problem where people are being scooped up under that. And, we've had an issue and talked about our concerns over what might happen with the broadness and vagueness of these terrorism laws. And that's now coming to pass in this instance. So that's how it's happening, but it really should not be happening.
And for anyone who's like, I don't know, somehow clicked on this and doesn't know any of the context around this, can you explain sort of what these protests are about, why people have been sat in, whether it's Parliament Square, whether it's outside Labour Party conference recently, why are they there, and what is the kind of contention against them all?
Yeah, so these are not protests organised by Amnesty International. These are people who are protesting around the prescription of Palestine action. And they are there as a matter of their own conscience. And so Palestine Action is an organisation that's been prescribed as a terrorist organisation, which means now that you are not allowed to, the organisation is banned, and anyone supporting them or showing some support for them is going to be criminised. So these people, as a matter of conscience, are saying, actually, we don't agree with that, and they are wanting to say that publicly, and in, crucially, a peaceful way. So they're sitting there holding up a sign, that's all they're doing. So that's why they're doing it, and they have a right to do that because they're doing it peacefully. And that's the problem with the prescription and the problem with these laws, is that you end up criminalising something which shouldn't be criminalised as a result of it. So it's this kind of broad...
Oh, I need to see it. Where that partner? I can't remember if that's partner or not. You see how some streamers you can see them either doing cascades, like they're doing mass like bombing explosions of them, or they're building up and up and up and up and on the stream. I want to. It's an emote wall essentially. I don't know if I can. I'll need to go into my stream settings to see if I've actually got that. Oh God, what is it? It's hashed. I'll need to talk to my main mod. Fuck! I didn't let Shannon know that I'm streaming. Mm. Yeah, basically like that. Oh, I like that. That is a lot of cake. That is a lot of Mad Cat Scotty. Oh, it's an arrow! Oh, that's genius. I like that one. Oh, you're back. Rejoice, comrades. Based Australian anarchist. Story Girl is here. Hi, Gemma. Hi. With coffee in hand. Nice one. I did have coffee today, well, technically yesterday. I will not give them free advertising. I am on a cider. For all you British comrades, you might actually recognise the can, but this cider company can sponsor me if they wish, I suppose. Rejoice! My government is arresting peaceful protesters. Fun!
overreach really in this law, disproportionality really is what we're worried about. It's disproportionate to be scooping up these people who are sitting holding signs, and that is kind of the nub of this issue.
Yeah. And are you able to give us like a little bit of context about Palestine Action as a group and kind of like what the explanation for why they've been prescribed is?
Actually, I don't know that much about Palestine Action myself as a group, right? So they're not an organisation that we work with, and I don't know much about really why the government have done this. I mean, because I think the issue is, as we will always go back to, because this is the problem really, it's so broad how they can decide to prescribe them, that's what they've done. I mean, Palestine Action are an organisation that's about
I demand you all go and follow Gemma. Right now, this very second. Go and follow Gemma, she is awesome. How goes it, darling? My garden is getting worse by the day. Fun. Did you see that Tangerine Bobback didn't win the Peace Prize? Ah! I demand you all go and follow Story Girl. This very second. She is based. She is lovely. She comes here to say hi. How goes it, darling? British government can eat all of my ass.
5 years old. They are an organisation that takes direct action, so they break the law to achieve their goals, and what they want to do is to disrupt arms sales or arms getting to Israel to stop the genocide happening there, and previous to that to stop the illegal occupation and all that's happening there. So that's what they do. That's not us, but that's what they do. And the government have decided that that they can prescribe them based on the criminal damage that they're doing, because the terrorism laws.
I like that. No surprises that Tangerine Bobback didn't win something extortionate trade war. Yeah, funny that. Deserving to win Peace Prize? Really? Nah. Did you see that? Someone who supports the Israeli government essentially won the Peace Prize. Delightful. Because this word is verboten, not allowed to be used. I say Z people. So a Z person won the Peace Prize. Fair enough.
Without, and I'm not going to go into the details about terrorism laws, but the government are able to include damage to property within that, as in their description of what counts as terrorism. So they will know why they've done that, but that is basically why, and that is what Palestine Action are.
Palestine Action was formally prescribed back in July 2025.
Parliament voted to add it to the list of banned groups in a joint edition alongside two other organisations, the Russian Imperial Movement and the Maniacs Murder Cult. There it joins other groups including the IRA and Al-Qaeda.
But what is the process for banning a group in this way? What was the rationale behind adding Palestine Action to the list, and what is Amnesty doing to oppose the decision?
It comes with a really rigid restrictions which we are now, you and I, bound by, right? So you and I have to be very careful in this conversation, which is why, we're concerned that it has this chilling effect. But essentially, yes, it means you can't show any support for them by actively saying you support them, or by wearing anything like a T-shirt or a flag or something which says you support them, or even a badge with their name on. So it's very broad. It would scoop up people, who are wearing a T-shirt or anything, and so that's, it just has this very broad reach because they are, have been criminalised. It's illegal to be part of them. It's illegal to support them.
And these are kind of sort of 2000s era law. It's like, can you give us a sense like in what context they were sort of enacted and how maybe they've been used before now at all?
So we had terrorism laws before because. Lots of us, not everyone, but will remember the troubles in Northern Ireland and how those laws were put into place and managed. And some of us might remember how we weren't able to hear Gerry Adams' actual voice, like we had voiceovers for him. So these things existed, but in 2000 they were brought together in the post Good Friday Agreement, brought together under the Terrorism Act, and at that time it was with quite a focus actually on international organisations. So. That might be recruiting here or promoting their criminality here. So that's how it started. But then after 9/11, which came soon after that, then there became more of a focus on organisations or terrorist organisations that would be based in the UK, also have a role here in the UK. So that's how it came about.
Have there always Been concerns about that maybe creeping out into maybe organisations that, or groups that maybe some people might not like, but might not feel sit within the kind of generally understood kind of definition of terrorism.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, Machado. Sorry, Spanish.
So I think I just go back to like the concern that we have is about the breadth and the vagueness of it. So yeah, in that case you can, and that was always our worry, of what can be swept up under that. And then once you're designated prescribed as a terrorist organisation, all that comes with it in terms of criminalisation of any support. So it can become disproportionate in that case. So yeah, so our concerns were always in the kind of hypothetical around that, because let's also just take a step back and remember that the government has a duty to keep us safe, right? So obviously it has to stop terrorism. You know, it has to stop. It has to do what it can to stop people being harmed. I mean, that's its duty. So of course it has to do that, but it has to do it in a way that's proportionate and which is not vague and broad. So it would absolutely say we have to have laws around keeping us safe. Of course we do. But this one in particular, from its inception, we've been concerned it's overly broad and vague, and that's now where we're seeing this particular instance.
Yeah, and Amnesty is to be given permission to sort of contribute, intervene in, I think is the terminology.
Yeah, that's right.
A judicial review around the banning of the group. Are you able to explain what that sort of means to have a judicial review and for Amnesty to sort of intervene in it?
Yeah, a little bit. Although because it's a legal process, I can only say so much. But yeah, so essentially, when something like this happens, this kind of a law is made like this, then there are processes, you know, in the UK, which are really good ones, where you're able to kind of question that on a legal basis. So that's what is happening at the moment, and we're able to intervene. So which means provide like a statement, because we're experts in this. We're experts in international human rights law. And we're also we're also experts in human rights campaigning. So we're able to say, look, from our expert point of view, these are the worries we've got. And then that goes before the judge to help them form a view. So that's how, and so we really welcome that, and we welcome the fact that we're able to intervene and provide our experience and evidence into this.
My understanding is that Amnesty feels like maybe bringing Palestine action, where everyone thinks of their actions, within the purview of the Terrorism Act, maybe is a bit of a creeper bit. Are you able to explain why Amnesty feels like they don't quite cross that line?
It's not really that is our issue, actually, and it's the disproportionality of. So it's just out of all proportion, which is what we're seeing now, where you criminalise an organisation and then you have people who are being swept up because they want to support that organisation. So that's our key concern that we are able to talk about, really, that we are able to raise, because that's what we're seeing. And you know, we're seeing these thousands of, what's it, 1,600 people or more have been arrested. So something's going wrong with the law if that's happening, you know, and I think that's where we need to focus. So our concern is really about the impact on freedom of expression of people who want to support that. And when they're supporting that and they're just sitting there peacefully holding up a sign, what is going on in the world? So you go back to, how is that happening? Well, actually, these laws, how they are written, they're too broad in terms of how they're scooping up organisations and what they're saying about what people can do in terms of supporting them. But you know, we do understand, like, and I just want to reiterate, like, there do need to be laws. It's just don't write them in a way that is so vague and broad, and you end up with this, I think, which would surely be an unintended consequence of scooping up people who are just peacefully protesting, you know, and who really believe in what they're saying, and what they're saying does not incite hatred, discrimination, or violence. So then how do you square the circle? You know, you can't.
It does seem to me that the issue is almost brought more attention through the prescription than maybe the number of eyes that were on it before. Do you think the government expected such a backlash? Because as you say, like, a lot of the people that are doing this protest are protesting the point of principle, rather than regardless of whether they actually read the thing on the sign, are protesting the point of principle of the fact that you now can't hold the sign without being arrested. Do you think the government expected such a kind of backlash?
It's hard to say, actually, because I can only speak for myself now.
Yeah.
I was surprised by how many people are prepared to put themselves in that position. I mean, these people are facing criminal charges, at least 6 months in jail, sometimes 14 years. So that is quite surprising, right? Like, enough people, that number of people are prepared to put themselves in that position. There is something going on if that's happening, right? So
we are seeing people being charged.
We are, yeah. I think more than 130 people have been charged now. And so, yeah, I mean, it's going through the process. So I just have to ask the government if they thought they expected it, but I think I did personally. And I don't know if we really did here at Amnesty. I think we were like, oh, that's happening. Like, you know, and people, you know, we know that people are protesting, and rightly so, about the genocide in Gaza, and have absolute right to do that. And we see that in mass numbers, right? It doesn't always get the media. Mass numbers of people who really care about that. So we expect that to continue. I mean, one of the concerns we had at the beginning was, is there going to be some kind of chilling effect? Will people be worried about even protesting? So one thing I really want to say is, you know, Palestine
already has had a chilling effect,
prescribed,
by the way.
and no one should be, unless they're prepared to face criminal sanctions, supporting them. But people should be, if they want to, protesting the genocide and protesting apartheid and wanting to see a ceasefire. And that is not affected by this prescription. So people shouldn't get confused by that.
It's not only protesters who have felt the impact of the prescription of Palestine action.
The author Sally Rooney, who has written in explicit support of the group, has said she'll be avoiding coming to the UK for the foreseeable future because she fears that she risks arrest for her comments. Journalists have also found themselves having to watch their words when it comes to covering the prescription.
Even in preparing the questions for this interview and writing these little...
Right, the NUJ is the National Union of Journalists. It's basically the trade union for journalists. Quite possibly, Tom. I don't know if he's got a press pass or anything, or press credentials. Because of the way he operates and does his research, he could be classed as an investigative journalist. It could be. So that's the National Union of Journalists, basically a trade union for journalists.
Interstitial bits, I've constantly had to think about how I am wording certain things to ensure that nothing I say can be read as support for the group. In fact, even going around filming this afternoon, we've been avoiding spots where there are police officers just because it is easier to not have to explain what we're doing and for anything to be misread.
And yet I wanted to ensure that I dedicated some of my conversation with Kerry to the core matter of the genocide in Gaza itself. What has the UK government's response been, and what should it be?
Well, it's not been good enough.
Dog shit.
By a long way. So sometimes they say some things which seem quite strong. They do the things we need them to do. So, for instance, the selling of arms carries on. Very belatedly recognising Palestine as a state, not taking a strong enough stand with our partners in terms of like the US and what we can do to influence the change there. So investing in arms companies that sell arms to Israel. So there's so much more that the UK government should be doing, should be much stronger. Some of the statements made at the start were deeply worrying. So we are continually calling on the UK government to step up and do what they can, do much more. So, 65,000 people more than have been killed there, and, thousands and thousands more injured. It is a genocide. UK government hasn't accepted that. They're one of the, it's almost impossible to understand how they haven't, when, we have, and we, as I said at the beginning, our research is impeccable. We have understood it to be a genocide. The UN has understood it to be a genocide. It is a genocide. The UK government are still not in a position they feel to say that. So they should be doing a lot more. And there's such a strength of feeling here in the UK. People want them to. But we're watching a genocide live on our TV screens and we can't bear it. So the UK government should be doing much more, and it should not fall off any of our agendas. We have to keep
Excuse
going.
me. Sorry about
I was going to say actually, so I think December 2024, I think Amnesty International, at least on an international level, decided that through research that this constituted a genocide. I think if you were to ask a senior politician in the UK government, they would sort of say something about words not marrying too much, or why, from Amnesty's perspective, is it really important to label it such?
Well, because I mean, you have to name it for what it is, right? Sometimes this gets positioned as like a war of two equal sides. It isn't. So a genocide is being put upon a people, and people need to understand the seriousness of that, the crime against humanity that is. Like, so it's very important in a war of, of disproportionality. I keep saying, but in terms of weight of world power, that we need these important words that have been there for a reason. International law, international standards, there for a reason, to stand up for people who are the victims of power. And that's what's happening here. And if we're not able to name it for what it is, then it could be too easily dismissed as one side and another side. It is a genocide. It's horrendous. And people need to name it.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go and get myself a hot water bottle. I will be back momentarily, comrades. Sorry about this. I'm sitting here physically shivering. Oh, not again. My fingers are going blue. Not good. Okay, well, let it play. I don't know what I'll do. I don't, so I'll just stop. Anyone listening?
Understand that.
And what would Amnesty International like to see the UK government do that it's not currently doing?
Well, understand it's a genocide. Use all of our soft and hard power to make our partners, who our ally is Israel and the US, to come to the table and make sure there's a ceasefire, stop the apartheid, stop the genocide, obviously release the hostages, and make this stop. It's a horrendous thing. And I think what we as Amnesty feel, but I'm just talking now as a person, in the UK, watching this unfold and thinking, how are we not doing everything in our power all the time to stop it? How can the government go to bed at night thinking, well, I've done everything I could to stop this? Well, they're not. And this is happening in real time in our lives. So that's what, it should be top of their agenda. Our kids are studying history, like what happens when things happen in the world and how awful that can be. We all know that. And so we don't want to be the people looking back and going, oh, that happened on our watch. Can't.
So to what extent is or isn't this part of a trend?
The prescription of Palestine action hasn't been the only cause for concern surrounding freedom of expression and human rights in the UK in recent years. As I discussed in my video about Just Stop Oil last year, the Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Act 2022 significantly curtailed the right to protest in the UK. Just 2 days after I spoke with Kerry, the government announced plans to grant the police even more powers to shut down protests which are deemed too repetitive. We've also seen the introduction of the Online Safety Act, which comes with some potential for the curtailing of freedom of expression, and an attempt to introduce digital ID cards, which are wildly unpopular among the British public.
I wanted to wrap up our interview by asking Kerry to place these arrests of protesters in the wider context of the state of freedom of expression here in the UK.
You mentioned that there's been a few things in recent years that have similarly maybe felt like they've encroached upon protest law, whether that's the, can I get the right order, sentencing crime bill, crime court sentencing.
One of those word salads,
which really cracks down on what you can and can't do in protest. I think slightly before that, I think famously like noisy protest.
I was going to say noisy protest,
became illegal. Being a public nuisance became quite a sort of vague law. We've also seen digital ID being brought back as a proposal, which I think some people have concerns around. To what extent do you think we are? Is there a trend here, or are these isolated things that we just need to sort out?
I think we worry it might be a trend. Okay. Yes. Digital ID cards, a whole different matter in terms of the concerns we have there, which are around sort of digitisation, use of data, and the safety around that. in terms of protests, that has really, there has been a creeping, like shutting down of protests. And you look at some of the laws that come in, and it kind of feels like they're dealing with a specific method of protest at the time. Like, climate protesters might do a certain technique, and then they'll sort of outlaw that technique, and another technique will come and they'll want to outlaw that technique. So it definitely feels like it is, because you can look at other laws closing that down. And we are very concerned about that, because people do have a right to protest, and it's really important to us as people and as the UK. Like we're good at standing up for what's right, and when people want to do that, they should be able to do it as long as it's peaceful. So yeah, we are worried about that. We're worried about it here. We're worried about it globally. We are worried. Like Amnesty generally, when it takes a look back at what's happening in the world, we see a trend towards authoritarianism that we are worried about, and know that people need to resist. We can't be having this happen to us. We need to stand up for our rights, because our rights are hard won. Our rights are not just given to us kindly by governments. We have to win them, and we have to make sure we keep them. So yeah, it is a worry that there's this kind of closing down of protest, and we should all be watching out for it, because when we want to stand up for something and we want to do it peacefully, then we should be able to.
Thank you so much, Kerry.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful.
Oh, it's been so nice to meet you.
Thank you so much to Kerry for sitting down to chat with me, and the whole team at Amnesty for helping to arrange that. As I said at the beginning of this video, this is a new format that we're experimenting with, so we would love to hear what you think, and if you really like it, then we would love it if you would consider supporting what we do over on Patreon.
Making good, earnest videos for the internet takes a huge amount of time and effort behind the scenes, which means that good videos about current affairs and stuff like this are becoming fewer and further between.
If you'd like to help us keep doing this and to ensure that topics like this get covered, then I would be extremely grateful if you would head on over to patreon.com/Tom Nicholas and to help us keep this show on the road. And of course, no video would be complete without a big thank you to the people who already support my work over on the top tier on the Patreon, who are Richard, Gary, Dick on Spain, Bill Mitchell, ZC Reese, Zoe Alden, Alexander Blank, Neil Zabildegard, Sophia R, Sergio Suarez, Richard Rapoon, Amit Singh Parahar, Gabriel Koch, Jimmy Dunn, Fiasco Linguini, Agent Maxwell, Glenn Sugden, Emil, Jarabar, Yillimson, Paulius Edicus, Sam Fortunato, and Sondre Yarsin-Jean. If you want to join them in getting shouts-outs in videos, access to my weekly blog, The Friday Update, copies of scripts to videos, early little snippets of stuff we're working on, then you can do so over at patreon.com/Tom Nicholas. Thanks so much for watching once again, and I'll see you in the next video.
Ah, that's better. Under our paradigm up here in Normal Island, he's considered a leftist.
People will say, you know, capitalism is this great driver of innovation and we live in the best possible world. No, this is lies. Look at the world around us. We live in a miserable world, actually. And capitalism, in fact, limits what we can achieve, right? So capital makes massive investments in producing things that are profitable to capital, things like SUVs and fast fashion and mansions and private jets and the military industrial complex, right? So we get massive production of those things. And we get chronic shortages of obviously necessary things, right? Like affordable housing and public transit and renewable energy and so on. 100 million people in the USA and Europe live in food insecurity. I mean, think about this. The richest countries in the world cannot even guarantee something as simple as food security to their citizens.
like that. That is good. Yeah. I got told by people, well, I used to be a Patreon of Tom, by the way. I got told by those people he read out at the end of his video there, his main Patreon's the one who donated the highest tier, that Tom's a Marxist. He might be in private life, but on his channels and stuff, he's dead on the left at best. Yeah. He's good at doing his video essays. He's an absolute fucking beast at doing research. Shit, I've forgotten what his degree's in. English, probably. Can I think of it? But he's an absolute fucking beast at doing research. Him and his you might hear him talking about someone called Georgia during his videos. The research for one as well.
There's so much disagreement in politics right now, but one thing that basically everyone can agree on is that growth, i.e. GDP growth, is good. The more growth, the better. And the real dividing line between left and right, Democrat and Republican, Labour and Conservative, is what you do with that growth. But the growth bit, that isn't up for debate. As Keir Starmer recently put it, his agenda is growth, growth, growth. Today's guest could not disagree more with that proposition or with that general worldview. He thinks that the mindless pursuit of endless growth isn't just a bad thing, but actually it's leading humanity to catastrophe. It can only lead to a very, very devastating outcome, not just for us, but for our planet too. His most recent book, Less is More: How Degrowth Will Save the World, is fantastic. One of my favorite books the last 5 years. He's written about geopolitics, the political economy of development, foreign affairs, pretty significantly in recent years. You can find his work on Substack. I am so looking forward to this conversation. Jason Hickel, welcome to Downstream.
Thanks very much. Nice to be with you.
I have waited so long for this conversation.
Me too.
I have to say.
I'm looking forward to it.
Your work is fantastic. Your recent books are fantastic. Your Substack is fascinating. We're going to cover so much material from all of those. I want to jump in right at the deep end, though, because, of course, you are one of the big voices out there on what climate collapse actually means, degrowth, the solutions, etc. We're going to go on all of that. But let's start with the kind of the diagnosis which underpins all of it. Where are we headed by 2100 with regards to climate change if we carry on with the present trajectory?
2100.
Yeah, so the news on that is not good. According to the last IPCC report, which comes out periodically, our current trajectory is for about 3.2 degrees of global warming by the end of the century, above pre-industrial temperatures. Looking at current policy trajectory, like policies that have been implemented, it's about 2.7 degrees. And so a little bit more optimistic than previously, but still quite bad. So give or take about 3 degrees. Now that's actually, I mean, it sounds maybe not so bad, but it's actually a really devastating trajectory. So if you look at the science that's reviewed by the IPCC, looking at temperature thresholds like that, you're looking at 30 to 50% of species going extinct at 3 degrees. You're looking at 1.5 billion people displaced from their current homes. You're looking at multi-breadbasket failures, meaning potentially food shortages in several parts of the world at the same time, makes it more difficult to kind of cover it with redistribution and so on. So famine is more likely. I mean, of course, to some extent, adaptation can mitigate some of this, but the future looks fairly bleak on our current trajectory. It's really not a future we want to aim for.
And 3.2, would that be the end of it, or would that just be the midpoint of something much worse?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess it really depends on what happens between now and then, right? Which is very difficult to predict. I mean, so these models go to...
We don't know what will happen. Models have been created. The experts in like climate change, biodiversity, public policy and ethics, people of that nature, in that sector, with those degrees in research, blah, blah, blah. They can't map what might happen. We're not prognosticators. We can't see into the future. We are not omniscient or prescient, unfortunately. Correct? Correct, Gemma? Professor Hickel actually hits on that. Could this be a way in for people, me recommending this video? I've already sent it up to my sweetie. I said to her, Nora, I said to them, Nora, to read it. Watch it, get into the video whenever you can.
To go to 2100. Few of them go beyond that. So it's a mixed bag depending on policy trajectories by then.
What's the worst case scenario by 2100, according to people like the various commissions that make these kind of calls for the UN? Or
look, I mean, it's difficult to say because the worst case scenarios kind of change as modeling improves, and so some will point to 4 or 5 degrees if we really just don't get our act together at all. It's hard to say, right? Like, I mean, of course, the political situation can also change as things heat up.
Of course.
And politics also transform. You could see much more radical.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Yeah. A lot of them are thinking, yeah, we can lead the horse. We can do this. But no. Like saying, look at all the skills we're giving you. You can go back into work. No, I can't. If we can't or won't, mostly for people like us, working class people who's disabled, ill, can't do it anymore. You can give us all these skills, put us through the training. Said, no, my body's still fucking failing me. I'm not going back into work if I can fucking help it. Thinking they can do shit like that, or be nicey with the companies, the multinationals that are destroying our planet. Being nice, bring them closer into the cabinet, things of that nature, lobbying. Fucking love it. Isn't that amazing? Because our government has basically sold themselves far too cheaply. We're screwed for a bit until we. Are people pissed off enough now? I can't remember. I'm not entirely sure. I actually check that.
Change in response to that, and so I think that trying to predict worst case scenarios is a little bit difficult. I think that these kind of more like what's the middle of the road scenario is much more realistic, probably.
So you're saying it's 3.2 by the end of this century,
yeah.
Beyond initially industrial levels. So to be clear, we're already 1.2 degrees warmer than we were at
1.2 or 1.3, yeah.
Than the mid 19th century.
That's correct.
Early 19th century, yeah.
So, and already you can see that the effects of even just that are really devastating. Just look around you and look at, I mean, the kinds of impacts that especially hit the global south, but the scale of the heat waves, impact on crops, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this is not easy even at this level. And so, if you imagine, significantly higher than that is going to be disastrous. It's really not a world we want to inhabit. In fact, you have some climate scientists like Kevin Anderson, one of the UK's most prominent climate scientists, who routinely says that 3 degrees is actually not compatible with organized human civilization as we know it. Now, that doesn't mean that there's going to be mass death. I think that's an unlikely scenario, but it does mean that like a lot of the things that we take for granted about the organization of society today would not be feasible in such a world. So it's kind of a different planet. Like humans have not lived on such a planet before, and so that's really not. Again, it's not a future we want to accept. And it is. I mean, the main message that comes through all of the IPCC reports is we have to do everything possible to limit global warming as much as possible, right? Making every effort for 1.5 degrees, and and well below 2 degrees if 1.5 is not feasible. So every fraction of a degree really counts.
So explain one thing to me. As far as I understand, the atmospheric concentrations of CO2 are higher now. So the amount of particles of CO2 in the air that we all breathe, they're higher now than they've been at any point, not just in the history of humankind, which is approximately, 300,000 years, but in the history of primates, right?
Yes.
And the last time that the planet had that concentration of CO2, sea levels were much, 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 much higher than they are today, tens of meters higher. And yet the projections around rising sea levels by 2100, even with 3.2 degrees of warming above the mid-19th century, are only a couple of meters. Why is there that discrepancy?
So this is not something that I'm necessarily qualified to talk about, I should say, but I think a lot of it has to do with the time scales on which the melting occurs, right? So, if you hit 3 degrees, let's say, then by 2100, you're going to have a certain level of sea level rise, which will be fairly devastating. But the rising seas will continue after that, even if you stop at 3 degrees, right? So if no more warming occurs, sea levels will continue to rise in the centuries going forward. So that's kind of how it works. But yeah, you'd have to speak to a geologist for more expertise on that.
And if the Greenland ice sheet melts, what does that? I mean, that's one of the kind of the big totems that people like yourself talk about. This would be a really singular moment, not just in the history of humankind, but our planet. What would the implications of that be, say, in the next century or two?
Yeah, again, I mean, there's different models that predict different kinds of things, and so it's difficult to say with any kind of absolute accuracy. But I would say that, if that occurs, you're looking at much faster sea level rise than existing models would project. That's something that we, that would be like a pretty significant sea level rise event. And the problem with really rapid rise.
Oh God. Pain in my foot is getting really quite bad. By the way, my right foot's swollen, and I'm struggling to actually walk around and stuff. Can't really put much weight on it. Let's see who we can read.
Like that is that you're looking at.
Yeah. Uh, let's see. Ricky,
But he doubted me, and so life passed him by. One day I closed my eyes and envisioned the fulfillment of
yeah.
my dream.
Ah. Not darling Sierra, Red Jester. God almighty.
A phylum. There's apparently an American one as well, but it is apparently so like so endangered or whatever because it doesn't have chlorophyll, and the way that its life cycle works is that it is parasitic off of fungus that is also parasitic on certain tree roots or something like that. So it evolved out of having chlorophyll for whatever reason.
The right idea. I love how the elephant is just like, hi, are you new friends? Are we gonna be buddies?
I got him! I got him! But what am I gonna do with him?
Keeps going.
Now where's Tor? Over here, my Tor, and we will finish you!
Everything about this weapon makes me happy in my special places. It's giant logs in a crossbow that are also on fire. Everything about this makes me happy. Against any other hero, this would be the greatest weapon, and it'd be like a sign that they are a serious threat. But against my Tor, it's just like, eh.
Good try, Jaw, but not good enough.
Just engineered his own jail. Oh no! These logs with a gap that any human can fit through are the perfect jail!
Okay, Lil Rock, take off!
Look, Carl, he only holds back because it's fun. He's so up in chest and I don't want to play anymore. My Tor hit him too hard. Yeah, he buried him in the ground for all time. Oh god.
You can find your way back to the village from here. Now I have one more thing to do, and that's to take the fire out of the fire people.
To take the fire out of the what does that mean? What does that mean? Did my Tor just cause volcanic eruptions? Oh god. My Tor just committed genocide.